Jesus' birth was marked by social isolation. There was no room for them in the inn. Possibly the most famous verse from the Nativity, and certainly featuring in many, many nativity plays for many, many children. And yet that can give us the wrong kind of idea, kind of that we think Holiday Inn or bed and breakfast. They were going around trying to see if they could get a last minute reservation in that kind of way. But no, it's more that there was no guest room available. Actually, the latest version of the New International Version uses that word, guest room. It's more that no one made space for them, and so they ended up laying Jesus in a manger. Perhaps it was a cave, perhaps it was a place where connected to a house, but where the family brought in the animals at night. Certainly, we're not told it was an isolated stable like often we see portrayed, but it was poor and it was simple. And it is extraordinary that the Son of God should come like that. But I think what's even more extraordinary is the fact that verse 4 tells us that this is Joseph's hometown. That's what they had to do, come back to their hometowns to be registered. And yet here he is, presumably all his relatives are here. And yes, for all the hassles that census must have been, surely it would have been a time when, the families would have got together and joked about how, we only get together at funerals and censuses. And then Joseph's coming back and he's bringing his young fiancée. That should have been a time of excitement and joy. But it wasn't. There was no room for them. No one made room for them. They were socially isolated. No, we're not told why. And perhaps we can guess that the pregnancy had something to do with it. Matthew makes it much more explicit that it was scandalous. Luke maybe more subtly so. The virgin conception was an amazing miracle and a scandal. So Jesus' life began in shame and scandal, with social distancing, painful exclusion, abandoned even by his own wider family. His first breath was taken in a wooden feeding trough. And his life would end in shame and scandal, with social distancing, with painful exclusion, abandoned and betrayed even by his closest friends. His last breath taken on a wooden cross. Why? Well, 2 Corinthians 8 verse 9 tells us that so that through his poverty we might be made rich. So Christmas reveals God's great purpose in sending Jesus to be socially distanced for our sake. It was all part of his wonderful saving, rescuing mission. And so no wonder Paul says in 1 Corinthians that, and boasts in the fact that we preach Christ crucified. Maybe we could sort of add Christ laid in a manger as a child when none of his family would have anything to do with him. A stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles, but to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God.